Hi guys, it's Tara and welcome back to Crafting with Curly Cues. Today I am really excited to be doing a guest designer spot for the Greeting Farm. So I absolutely love the images from the Greeting Farm and I was so excited when I was contacted and asked to be a guest over there. So I just had to bust out this absolutely adorable fairy stamp set that I have had for way too long and it has been poorly neglected. But I thought it would be really fun to take these fairies and create like an autumn woodland fairy scene. So a lot of times I feel like I see fairy cards and they're very like summery and springtime and like lots of florals and whatnot, which is absolutely fabulous. But I thought it would be fun to try to kind of make a little bit more of a fall scene with this particular stamp set. So I used the really cute, like fluffy dandelion stamp and then that little cluster of stars, and I heat embossed that on some Tim Holtz watercolor cardstock with Simon Says Stamp Antique Gold embossing powder. This is like my favorite fall gold embossing powder. I am obsessed with it. And now I'm going to do some ink blending over the top. So I am having so much fun going through my distress inks and finding fall color combinations. So today I decided to go with Seedless Preserves, and then I've got some crushed olive, and I did bring in a little tiny bit of Rusty Hinge, but it turned out that I wasn't like loving that to have a whole bunch. I like the little tiny bit that I've got there, but I didn't feel like I needed any more. So I pretty much stuck with the Seedless Preserves and the crushed olive, and I just love the way that they blended together. And I made it kind of darker down in the corner and lighter up at the top, kind of like an ombre, because you'll see later my little fairy is going to have a lantern, and so I feel like it's like kind of bright where she's at with her lantern, and then it fades into the like dusky autumn evening. So that's the story behind this card. So once I had that done, I spritzed it with some water from my distress sprayer here, and then I used my paper towel to pick that water up after a few seconds, and you can see the really beautiful textured look you get by doing that. And then just to add some more textury fun times, I decided to put some splatters on here. So I am going to use my aged mahogany distress ink to do that. So this is an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, deep red color that I have been neglecting the whole time that I've owned my distress inks. Like I like never have used this color, but have discovered it for autumn and fall and it's perfection. So I just love those dark, like deep kind of red splatters. Just really, I don't know, it just brings it to life for me. I thought it was just super fun. So now I'm going to dive into my Copic coloring. So I stamped one of these super sweet little fairies on some Nina 110-pound solar white cardstock using some Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. That's my favorite ink to use with Copics. And now I'm just going to Copic color her in. So I will apologize here. I keep trying to move my like caps and stuff because I got a new phone on Friday, which was a couple days ago. And now I have transitioned. I finally have gone to the dark side, and I have always had Android phones, and I finally switched over to an iPhone. And the main reason that I did that is because last year I got a Mac for Christmas to do my video editing and such, because iMovie's just a really good free program to edit your videos on, and so that's what I use. So I thought it would be good to finally have an iPhone to be compatible with my Mac computer and make everything sync a little bit better. So this is the first time that I have filmed a video with my new phone, so I'm kind of still figuring out the kinks. And I zoomed it in for the coloring, and it's great quality, and I'm super stoked about it. Oh, here, I'm using my Sandy Allnock hex chart to pick out the colors for her dress. So I wanted to show you guys that I was using that tool that's provided. And I'll link that in the description box below if you don't have one of those hex charts for your Copics. It's super, super handy. So anyway, back to I'm filming on a new phone, so that is why sometimes I get a little bit out of the frame and I'm kind of messing with the focus. I'm kind of trying to figure out how this works. I think it worked really well. It looks beautiful. The quality is super great so far, so I'm really pleased with it. But I'll keep you guys posted on how that works because I know a lot of you like to hear about how I do my videos and such, but still cell phone filming, so anywho, for her dress, I decided to go with those really deep, pretty reds to kind of match those splatters that I put on the background. So I thought that was super fun. And then for her hair, I wanted to give her some kind of dark brown hair to kind of go with this fall, autumn, woodland fairy theme. So I've just got a few different colors of brown, and I am flicking in, you can see the Copic from the spots where I want the shadows to be the most. and just kind of adding that flicked textured look on the hair. Now, I am not super awesome. See, so sorry, I'm totally out of frame. I apologize. Plus, I twist my paper all around when I'm coloring, so it's like in frame, and then I twist it out of the frame. So, ugh, I'm just all over the place, it feels like. So, anyway, I am still working on perfecting my Copic coloring hair skills, but greeting farm images are perfect for practicing that because they're so stinking cute and the hair is really adorable without being overly complicated. Like some hair images can get just like so complicated with where you're supposed to have shadowing and whatnot. And the greeting farm images are just really easy to color. They always look absolutely beautiful. So it's a really great, this was a great image to kind of work on my hair technique. And I think it looks really cool. I really like the way that it came out. So now I'm coloring that really super cute little acorn lantern. Like, that is adorable. I really love it. And then I fussy cut both of these images out, and I'm just going to line the edges with my black soot distress marker, and this just makes it so that you can't see any white from the side, and it makes it look like you cut it out perfectly. It's one of those nice little cheat tricks that I like to have in my back pocket for a rainy day. And now I'm going to kind of put this card together, and I left a whole bunch of my process in here for you guys because I've gotten some feedback that you guys like to see kind of the mistakes and the process that I go through when I'm kind of conceptualizing the card, because as I've said before, I don't actually plan my whole card out ahead of time. When I started this card, my concept was Autumn Fairy, and I wanted to do a distress ink background and some gold embossing. And that was literally what I started with. So now that I've gotten that far, I have to kind of figure out how to put it all together. So I've got these wavy scalloped border dies here from Simon Says Stamp. I just clipped those apart using my little wire cutters. You can get those like in the jewelry beading department at any craft store. Really simple tool, but really nice to have in your stash. And now I'm going to run this piece of background that I created here through my Big Shot. I'm going to use the middle border there. The scallops are all different sizes, and I liked the medium one the best. And you can see how cute that little scallop border cutout is there. I also cut a little bit off the top so that you could still see enough of the card base there. I am using a craft card base. In the fall, I pretty much always use craft card bases for every single project, so that's the way that goes. And I decided that, you know what, there just wasn't quite enough of that gorgeous antique gold embossing powder on this card. So I literally coated my entire bottom of my card base in Versamark ink. And then I went ahead and used my Versamark ink pad to kind of almost do like a distress, like flicking around the outside of my panel here. And then I'm sprinkling that beautiful embossing powder all over the outside edges of my design panel, and then literally covering the whole card base there with this gold. So this is going to allow the edges of my little panel to look like they've kind of been distressed with this pretty gold. This gold is just, it's breathtaking, guys. If you haven't seen this antique gold, it's amazing. Look how cool that looks when you melt that huge chunk of it. So I'm essentially creating like gold paper. So that's what I'm doing, and it's going to match all the other embossing perfectly because it's the same embossing powder. So super handy trick to use if you're like, man, I want some sparkly paper, but I don't have one that matches. Just create your own, and it's nice and easy to do. I'm just going to kind of tweak that a little bit and make the heat bumps that you get from all that embossing powder kind of go away. But you can see how incredibly pretty that is with that gold embossing peeking out from underneath that little scallop border there. So now I'm going to go ahead and start assembling the card now that I've kind of got that part taken care of. So I need a sentiment, right? And I didn't leave any space to stamp one. So I'm going to bust out the old vellum trick, which is what I do when I want to be able to still see the background that I've created, but I want a sentiment on the front of it. I'm using this really sweet sentiment that just says believe in magic. And I just think that is amazing. I actually kind of want to create this scene again, but do it all like as a one layer and like frame it for my cube at work or my daughter's room or something. I don't know, but I just love this autumn colored fairy and the sentiment. I just think it turned out so pretty, and I think it would be a really pretty like permanent piece, like a believe in magic. It's whimsical and it's fantastic and I love it. So anyway, I'm getting a little carried away there, but you guys know how I am with the whimsy. I get sucked up into the whimsy and I can't stop. It's like a runaway whimsy train. So now that I have that all trimmed out, sometimes I have to like stop and listen to myself and be like, Tara, you need to, you need to just continue talking about the card because you're way, way out in left field here. So anyhow, I went ahead and adhered this strip of vellum on the back side of the card. So that's one thing I like about doing the strips of vellum is you don't have to stress about where to put your adhesive behind it. You can just adhere it to the back of the card and call it a day. So now I've got some craft foam because I want to pop this little panel up on my card. And I kind of left this in to show you guys, like, your craft foam does not have to be pretty. I am telling you what, it's on the back. Nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to know. So I kind of used a scrap piece of craft foam that I had that was all funky shapes. And I just cut all these little crazy shapes and just made sure I had enough support to support that whole panel. Popped it right on the front, and you'd never know that the back of it is all pieced together and wonky. So don't stress about the back of your cards looking perfect. I mean, there's lots of other things you can stress about, but that should not be one of them. So I am then going to pop this little fairy even further up off this card. So I used some foam tape on the back of her there, and I'm just going to place her up in the corner. And so I really like, and I will be 100% honest, I'd love to pretend that I planned this from the beginning, but that ombre totally made it look like that lantern is lighting up the sky. So I acted at the beginning like I did that on purpose. I totally didn't, but it was a super, super happy mistake, and I think it just adds to the whimsy that she's like floating around in this night sky, and there's all these beautiful dandelion fluffs floating around her, and she's lighting up the sky with her little lantern. I think it's so sweet. So off camera, I added some Pretty Pink Posh clear droplets and some sparkle on her wings with my Spectrum Noir sparkle overlay pen, and I put some glossy accents on the lantern. I love this card so much, and I'm so happy that the greeting farm asked me to come create a project for them and use this beautiful, beautiful fairy stamp set. So thank you guys so much for watching. As always, the supplies are listed below and over at my blog. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and leave me a comment. I love chatting with you guys. Check out the description box below to join me on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. Thanks, guys. Bye.